know I wrote a book, right? It's called Buy a Game and it's free. Click the link down there, you got it.
DreAllDay.com.
What's going on, everybody? This is Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. I know it's been a while. We ain't talked a lot of NBA this year, but we are here for the playoffs. We showing up for the playoffs like everybody else is, and we talking the Western Conference first round right now. So what I'm going to do with these series, this playoffs this year, 2016, I'm going to give you my rundown of what I think is going to happen in each series in the first round. Here in the Western Conference, I already did the East, so if you missed that Eastern Conference video, make sure you check that video, leave your comments, leave your predictions in the comments to that video, or you can send me a snap at Dre Baldwin, a tweet at DreAllDay. And the other thing that I was going to say is moving on in the second round, third round, championship, all that, y'all got to let me know if you want to see me do more predictions or do a prediction series by series. There's only going to be 4 series after the first round, 4 series total, 2 in the East, 2 in the West. So I can do individual series at a time if y'all want to see it. If y'all want to see it, let me know. I'll do it. If y'all don't want to see it, it's cool. I won't do it. I could do like I did last year in the finals where I did every single game. I did a prediction for each game or a recap of the previous game. If y'all want to see me do that, let me know. If you don't, it's all good. But without further ado, let's get into the first round predictions for the Western Conference playoffs. First series we're looking at is number 1, Golden State Warriors against the number 8 Houston Rockets. First of all, Golden State went out and won 73 games. That's damn impressive. I don't care how you did it, what luck you had. I know that game when they was playing Memphis. What's the name? Who was that? Lance Stevenson. That was definitely a foul. Klay Thompson definitely fouled him on that shot. They didn't call it. But listen, to win 73 games, you got to get a couple lucky breaks. So the Warriors got a lucky break there, but listen, it ain't luck to win 70-plus games in the NBA season after you just won the damn championship. So I'm not taking anything away from the Golden State Warriors. They did their thing. 73 wins. I didn't think anybody would ever beat Michael Jordan's 72 wins, and Jordan's my favorite hooper. So for them to do that, you got to take your hat off to them. Congrats to the Warriors for making that happen. They got a hell of a team right now. They got a great superstar in Steph Curry, another lower-level star in Klay Thompson. Then you got a glue guy who could do everything all around, like a Draymond Green, who's like a kind of like a, I don't even want to say a poor man's version of LeBron, because that doesn't do him justice, because he's not like he's not like LeBron. He's kind of more like he does a little bit of everything. Like he does the dirty man stuff, but he could also get you some buckets. He'll go dunk on you. He can put the ball on the floor. He can throw great passes. He can shoot from the outside, and he could guard off oppositions. And he got like that mentality. He got the mentality that the whole team is bought into his mentality, even though he's not the star. Steph Curry is the star, and Stephen Curry, 400 threes. They said last season he made like 286 threes. That was the record. He broke his own record by 100 and damn near 115 three-pointers. He broke his own record. That's crazy that he was able to break his own record by that much. It's one thing to break your own record, but to break it from 286 to 400 in one season is ridiculous. So the season that he had this year is some video game stuff. Listen, next year when the NBA video games come out, whatever the NBA video games are, I want to see what ratings they give Steph Curry when it comes to shooting, when it comes to awareness, when it comes to confidence. I don't know if you do confidence as a rating, but shooting range, what kind of ratings can you give Stephen Curry compared to everybody else based on the season he just had this year? It's amazing. He's definitely winning MVP again. Now, are they going to win the finals again? We're going to see. I got some things I think, but we're going to see how things shake out in the first round before we get into all that. Houston Rockets. Let's talk about the Houston Rockets, and we ain't got to say much about them. I'm not a fan of this team as presently constructed. I think James Harden is the man. He's a great scorer. He's one of the most unstoppable players one-on-one in the NBA. When it comes to one-on-one, guard this guy, James Harden is one of the hardest guys to guard one-on-one in the NBA, just because he's so crafty with his handle. He's deceptively quick. He doesn't look like a guy who's super athletic or quick, but he will dunk on you. He will blow by you. He will draw fouls on you ridiculously like he's been doing. He can hit the 3 from the outside. He'll hit you with a quick pass, and the guy can just put the ball in the basket. James Harden is a fucking stud offensively. He don't do that a lot on D, but he's a stud on offense. One thing I will say, though, about him and Dwight Howard, who are both max contract players on that team, is that I don't see either one of them as much of a leader. I don't think either one of them is much of a leader. I don't think either one of these guys makes their teammates better. I don't think either one of their presences raises the level of anyone else just by being there. Like Stephen Curry, I think his presence alone makes players on his team play better just because they know he's going to do something. LeBron James, they play better just because they know he's going to do something. They know he got the slack. So all I got to do is just do my job, because I know LeBron or Steph Curry is going to take care of everything else. I don't feel like being on a team with James Harden or Dwight Howard makes a player feel that way. So even though I think James Harden is the man, and Dwight Howard I don't know what's up with Dwight Howard. I used to be a fan of Dwight Howard. When he was in Orlando, Dwight Howard used to dominate guys, physically just dominate. Then he had the back injury. He went to the Lakers where he was terrible, and that was half physical and it was half mental. Actually, it was 90% mental, 10% physical. It was a big 10% physically. Then he didn't want to stay in LA and play with Kobe and Gasol and all them. That was a terrible system they were running in LA. Anyway, that's a different story. He went to Houston, and he was okay the first year in Houston. He was pretty good the first year. He started to get his energy back. But this year, as the season went on, I don't know. Dwight Howard just seems, I don't know, he just seemed like a ho-hum type of guy. I don't know. I didn't watch every Houston game. If you watch some Houston games, you tell me if I'm wrong. But it just seemed like Dwight Howard kind of went through the motions this season. He's so talented. He's so physically gifted. Him going through the motions is still one of the top, let's say, 30 players in the NBA. Him going through the motions, Dwight Howard. Now, locked in, serious Dwight Howard, I don't know if he's ever been locked in a series, but you know what I'm saying. When he was the Orlando guy with the energy, with the physicality that he had, Dwight Howard was pretty damn unstoppable. He was the best center in the NBA. He's not that anymore. I don't even know who the best center in the NBA is now. Who does it even matter? Is the question really. But the Houston Rockets, I'm not a fan of the team as they're constructed. They fired the coach during the season, right? Then they fired their coach. I think they need some changes. They need to make some changes in Houston because the team is not bad enough for them to be able to rebuild through the draft, but it's also not good enough that they're competing for nothing, even though they got 2 max players on their team. So that's a problem. Now, if you got 1 max player on your team, then you can make a lot of changes. Like Indiana, they got Paul George. It's just him by himself. They ain't got no other stars on that team. They can make any kind of changes they want and build around Paul George. But in Houston, you already got 2 max contract guys. So how you got 2 max contract guys, but you just barely made it into the playoffs? They got lucky making it into the playoffs because the Utah Jazz just choked and collapsed the last week of the season. They even lost to the Lakers when Kobe had 60. Great game by Kobe, by the way. But the Utah Jazz just collapsed. So Houston backed into the playoffs kind of, sort of, winning their last couple games to get in. Golden State needs to sweep them for a couple reasons. Number one, Golden State, I think Golden State's trying to write a storybook season right now. So they do definitely need to sweep Houston in the first round. And number two, Houston needs to get swept so that they can go ahead and make some wholesale changes to that roster because the roster they got right now ain't working. That roster got to change. Dwight Howard probably has to go. I think you can keep James Harden. Yeah, I don't think it's too many people you trade James Harden for. But they need to build around James Harden with a whole new group of guys. That team they got right now is not working. All those veteran guys they all got to go. All of them. They got to change that whole roster, gut the whole thing, start over and get it right. Because right now that's not working, and they just treading water. There's no way you got 2 maximum contract guys and you're just making an 8 seed and getting swept. And if they don't get swept, they only win in 5. They're not winning any games in Golden State. It'll only go to 5 if they don't get swept. I mean, they'll win 1 big game at home, but that's it. But I don't even see that happen. I think the Warriors will sweep them in the first round. Second matchup we're looking at, LA Clippers against the Portland Trail Blazers. This is going to be a pretty good matchup. It's going to be a pretty good matchup. I didn't say it's going to be a good series. It was going to be a good matchup just because I know Damian Lillard is going to bring it. Damian Lillard plays with a chip on his shoulder. I appreciate that. I respect seeing a player who plays with a chip on his shoulder. Damian Lillard definitely has the chip. CJ McCollum is a ball player too. CJ McCollum can go. So I'm a fan of that duo backcourt. 2 guys that can go and they don't seem to be competing for the ball or touches or anything like that. They can play in sync, but both get theirs at the same time. So I'm a fan of that. The problem with the Portland Trail Blazers, though, is that there's no one else on that team who you can depend on, especially in a playoff series, who's going to step up when you're going against a team that's been in the playoffs multiple times, like the Clippers, with a Blake Griffin, with a DeAndre, even with a old Paul Pierce, Jamal Crawford, and of course Chris Paul, who's going to be doing his thing. Chris Paul always does his thing. Chris Paul is going to do his best to neutralize Damian Lillard's effect. So I'm not saying Lillard's going to do less, but whatever Lillard do, Chris Paul is pretty much going to do too in his own way. Because Chris Paul is a little bit more of a passer while Damian's more of a scorer. But he's going to basically neutralize what Damian Lillard does. So then it's going to come down to CJ McCollum trying to outdo what the rest of the Clippers stars can do. He's not going to be able to do that in general. So I see the Portland Trail Blazers. They will definitely win 1 game at home. I don't know how much I can buy into this LA Clippers team. That's my challenge here. I'm not that bought in on stock of the LA Clippers. At many times that they've crumbled in the playoffs, especially last year after what they did in Game 6 at home against Houston, I stopped paying attention to the game. I just wanted to see them celebrate, and then they crumbled and lost that game, then lost Game 7. I can't see the Clippers winning this in 5. I say Clippers win in 6. I say the Clippers do win, but they not winning in 5 because I don't think they're that serious of a team. I do want to see them go against Golden State in the second round. That's going to be a hell of a series. Even Portland against Golden State in the second round would be good, because I know Damian Lillard, he's from Oakland, so of course he would love to go play in Oakland and do his thing in front of his hometown crowd and do his thing in that series. So either one of these teams win. As long as Golden State wins, I'll be happy to see that second round series, but I got to go with the Clippers. Better overall team. They got much more experience. I think Chris Paul is still the best player of anybody playing in that series. Better than Damian, better than McCollum, and better than everybody else in the Clippers. So I got to go with the LA Clippers in the home court advantage. They will win this, though, in 6. I don't think they'll win it in 5, but maybe they'll surprise me and win it in 5. So Clippers win that series in 6. I'm going Clippers in 6. Other 2 series in the West, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks are nothing if not consistent. They made the playoffs, I think, 15 times in this century. They're always making the playoffs. Rick Carlisle's a hell of a coach. They don't have a great team this year. They don't really have a great team. Raymond Felton's kind of like Darren Williams is kind of like remember when Darren Williams and Chris Paul was a debate, and a lot of people thought Darren Williams was better? There was a time that actually existed. Dirk Nowitzki's still doing his thing. I don't know if this is his last season. Well, if it is, hopefully he goes another season, because Kobe's farewell kind of overshadowed everybody's thing this year. Who else Dallas got? Zaza Pachulia almost made the All-Star game because of the votes he was getting from back home, I guess. But anyway, the Dallas Mavericks, I'm not excited about this team. I don't think anybody is, but they are very well coached. They got a good system. They got a group of grizzled veteran players. Jose Juan Barea, one of those guys too. He's one of those feisty guys. He's the smallest guy out there. I think they can steal at least 1 game from OKC. I think they can steal 1 game. However, I don't see them stealing 2, just because Russell Westbrook he's a fucking beast right now. Russell Westbrook is video game style good right now. His athleticism combined with his just fearlessness and the mentality that he plays with, that everything's personal for him, and he believes he is the absolute best player to ever touch a basketball court, combined with his actual physical ability. Dallas is not winning more than 1 game. I wouldn't be surprised if OKC goes in there and sweeps them, but I don't see OKC doing that. I see Dallas winning at least 1, just because of how well coached they are and how veteran they are. But this series will be over in 5. OKC wins it in 5 in convincing fashion over the Dallas Mavericks to get the Mavericks out of here. Last series in the East, you got the San Antonio Spurs against the Memphis Grizzlies. So we know about the Spurs this year, who would have been the big story of the season had it not been for Golden State going crazy. Spurs won, 65 games or something like that, which is a hell of a lot of games to win in the season. But because Golden State did their thing, Golden State gave them their only loss, gave the Spurs their only home loss of the season, one of their few losses, period. I think 2 of their losses came, or 2 or 3 of their losses came from Golden State. Spurs are a hell of a team. I'm really looking forward to the Western Conference Finals, Spurs against Golden State, or OKC against Golden State. I might have to stay up late to watch either one of those series. But as far as the Memphis Grizzlies go, they had to patch together a team this year. I think they suited up 28 different guys all season because of injuries and all that. They lost Marc Gasol, their best player for the season. Zebo stepped up. I think Mike Conley's had a couple injuries, and they got Lance Stevenson. He came in and he was like doing his thing. He was like the man for a minute. Vince Carter's still out there playing. Shout out to Vince Carter and the Nike Shox BB4s, one of my favorite hoop sneakers of all time. As far as this series goes, I think the Spurs will take care of business. I think Greg Popovich and the veteran team that they have understand that they need to take care of business as quickly as possible to get their old bones some rest, because they're looking at a round 2 matchup with a young, restless Oklahoma City team. And in that matchup, that round 2 matchup, if that happens, I'm predicting that it will. I'm going to tell you how many the Spurs are going to win this first round series in a second. If that happens, you got 2 teams that both absolutely need to get out of the second round, or there's going to be some heads rolling. I think if either one of these teams can't get out of the second round this year, there's a problem. If OKC doesn't get out of the second round after they went to the finals against LeBron in 2012, and then they can't get out of the second round now, every year we've been thinking this is about to be OKC's year. Maybe this year, maybe this year, maybe this year, and they lose in the second round, that goes bad. And the Spurs, the hell of a season that they've had, if they lose in the second round, that's really bad. So I think that's going to be a series that I want to see, because there's 2 teams that absolutely must get out of the second round and get to the Western Conference Finals, but one of them's not going to. So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, who wins that first round matchup? Spurs are going to sweep the Memphis Grizzlies. That will be Spurs in 4. So first round series, number 1, Golden State defeats Houston in a sweep, 4 games, 2-0. The Clippers over Portland in 6. OKC over Dallas in 5, and the Spurs over Memphis in 4. That will be an absolute sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, those are my picks for the first round of the Western Conference. Let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments of this video, and make sure you leave your predictions. If you're making a prediction, make sure you leave it on Friday. Don't try to come in here Saturday after the game start, or after somebody has a big game or somebody gets injured and you come try to make a prediction for what's going to happen after the game's already started. Make your predictions before the game start on Friday. We will know if you make your predictions after, because there's a date on every comment. So make sure you make your predictions on the right day. Leave them down there. Let me know what you think. Send me a snap at Dre Baldwin. Send me a tweet at DreAllDay. That's where y'all can find me. Let's get ready and enjoy the first round of the NBA playoffs. Everybody, work on your game. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.